Welcome to English Through Ideas, where we learn English through powerful ideas. Today, we're looking at an absolutely incredible story of survival, human psychology, and finding hope in the darkest of places. We are exploring the profound lessons from Viktor Frankl's legendary book, Man's Search for Meaning. Now, Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived the unimaginable horrors of Nazi concentration camps. But here's the thing. He didn't just survive physically. He survived mentally, by observing the human mind and discovering what truly keeps us alive. Okay, let's dive into this. This powerful quote from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche is really the core idea that Frankl used to survive the camps. He who has a why to live for can bear with almost any how. Just think about that for a second. The how is the situation you're in, right? How difficult, how painful, or how stressful it is. But the why is your reason for living. It's your purpose. Frankl realized that if a person has a really strong why, they can endure almost any terrible how. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at Viktor Frankl's story. Second, the mind under extreme stress. Third, what he called the last human freedom. And finally, practical ways you can actually find meaning in your everyday life. Let's start right in with Section 1, Viktor Frankl's story. As I mentioned, Frankl was a trained psychiatrist, someone who spent his life studying the mind. But when he was sent to Auschwitz and other camps, he wasn't there as a doctor. He was there as an ordinary prisoner. When prisoners arrived at the camp, literally everything was taken from them. I mean, their clothes, their documents, their families, and their entire identities. They were just given a tattoo and a badge. Frankl became nothing more than a number, 119104. He had absolutely nothing left but his naked existence. Yet, even while doing back-breaking physical labor in the freezing snow, he remained a scientist inside his head. He started to notice that survival wasn't always about who was the physically strongest. It was often about what was happening inside a person's mind.
That brings us to Section 2, the mind under stress.
Let's trace the mind's journey through conditions that most of us can barely even imagine. Frankl observed that almost all prisoners went through 3 specific psychological phases. Phase 1 was shock. During those first few days, prisoners experienced this delusion of reprieve, which is basically a false hope that things wouldn't be so bad. But, well, soon the brutal reality destroyed that illusion completely. Phase 2, months later, was apathy. And Phase 3, which happened after they were finally freed, was disillusionment and depersonalization. Let's look a little closer at those last 2 concepts. Apathy is an excellent word to learn for your English vocabulary. It means a complete lack of feeling or emotion. Frankl noted that apathy became a necessary protective shell for the mind. You see, the prisoners saw so much suffering and death daily that they literally stopped feeling horror, disgust, or pity. Their inner life was forced down to a primitive level. They focused only on getting the next piece of bread or avoiding a beating. Apathy was simply how the mind defended itself against a daily nightmare. Now, you might be thinking that liberation, finally being set free, would mean instant joy. But Frankl introduces a really complex psychiatric term here, depersonalization. This is the feeling of being completely disconnected from yourself. When the prisoners were freed, they walked into beautiful green meadows, but they felt nothing. They couldn't even believe their freedom was real. They felt like they were in a dream. Frankl explained that a mind that has been under that kind of heavy pressure for years actually has to slowly and painfully relearn how to feel joy. But here is the amazing part. Even during the darkest phase of apathy in the camp, some prisoners actually found a way to survive mentally. They built a beautiful inner world. They found an inner retreat. Frankl describes these freezing morning marches where he would vividly imagine his wife. He would talk to her in his mind. And he realized a profound truth. Love goes far beyond the physical person. Even though he had no idea if his wife was alive or not, his love for her protected his mind. They also found quick moments of freedom by looking at a beautiful sunset, or even making dark jokes just to survive the day. Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is how it applies to all of us. Section 3, the last human freedom. Everything we've discussed so far leads to this one massive, life-changing idea. The absolutely crucial point is this. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. The camp guards could control what the prisoners ate, they controlled where they slept, and if they lived or died. But they could never control how a prisoner reacted on the inside. Even when you control absolutely nothing in your environment, you still control your mind. This is a deeply empowering lesson for our own daily lives and personal self-improvement. In the camps, Frankl saw two very distinct mindsets. First, the mindset of defeat. This belonged to prisoners who just gave up. They only looked at the past, they saw their current life as meaningless, and they entirely lost hope. Frankl noted that when a prisoner lost hope for the future, their body actually gave up very quickly and they would die. Contrast this with the mindset of survival. These prisoners looked toward a future goal, like seeing a loved one again or finishing their life's work. They found meaning even in their suffering. Think about this in your own life for a moment. Which mindset do you adopt when you're facing a really difficult day at work, or maybe struggling in your studies? This all circles back to the concept of meaning. In this psychological context, meaning isn't just a simple dictionary definition. It's the purpose or value of a person's life. It is that strong reason to keep going even when things are incredibly tough. Simply put, it is your personal why. So let's bring it all together in our final section. Section 4, how to find meaning. So, how do we take all of this deep psychology and actually apply it to our own personal growth? Well, Frankl flips a very common question upside down. Usually, people walk around asking, what do I expect from life? And if they get sadness or hardship, they lose hope. But Frankl says we must instead ask, what does life expect from us? It's like life is constantly asking us questions through the daily challenges we face. And we answer life not with talk, but through right action. We take responsibility. And this brilliantly illustrates the 3 practical steps Frankl gives us to find meaning anywhere. Number 1, by creating a work or doing a deed. This could be your job, creating art, or just helping out a friend. Number 2, by experiencing something or encountering someone, like taking in the raw beauty of nature, or deeply loving another person. And number 3, which is the most profound, by the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. When you face a hardship that you simply cannot change, you can still find immense meaning by facing it bravely. Frankl often thought of this really striking quote by the Russian writer Dostoevsky, "There is only one thing that I dread, not to be worthy of my sufferings." Frankl literally saw men in the camp who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their very last piece of bread. They were worthy of their suffering. They proved that human dignity just cannot be erased. So when you face a personal struggle, ask yourself, how can I act right now so that I am worthy of this challenge? A really key takeaway here is that there is no one single meaning of life for everyone. Your meaning is completely unique to you. It changes from person to person, and honestly, it even changes from moment to moment. For Frankl, one moment his meaning was to help a sick patient. Another moment, it was to rewrite a lost scientific manuscript inside his head. Finding meaning is about how you uniquely choose to respond to the life that is directly in front of you right now. So, as we wrap up this explainer on the human mind, I want to leave you with this question. If you face difficult times, what is the why that will keep you moving forward? What is your future goal? What is the creative work, the love, or the courageous attitude that gives your life deep, unshakable meaning? Take some time today to think about your own psychology and what life is asking of you. Thank you for learning with English through ideas. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more ideas, more English, and more growth.